Welcome to this bonus episode of Grapple City Rewind. The following is a conversation between myself, Bradley Palermo, and Aaron Fink as I walked out of the March 9th AEW pay-per-view in Los Angeles known as Revolution. I hope you enjoy, and we will be back before you know it with our regular scheduled full-length episode next week. Everyone out there in Grapple City Rewind land. I'm here at the AEW show tonight in Los Angeles, Revolution. And I don't know, fucking ask me anything. I'm on my way out, but I think Aaron watched it from the house. And,
I did.
How was it from where you're sitting?
It was fun. I it was a little long. I'm sure it was long for you too. You got there before it even started, right?
Dude, I've been in downtown LA since 2 p.m. today. I think it's 9:30 now in Los Angeles. So
yeah,
it was cool. There were some fucking awesome matches. There was some stuff that could have been cut out, but I feel like there were some big pops, and it was maybe not always in the right spot. I feel like Kenny Omega. He was the first match of the night that had a lot of pops.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like Toni Storm. Mariah May was like the beginning of the end. It was very fun, but it was like, how are you going to top that,
Yeah, just so crazy and violent. It was. I enjoyed the show overall as well. I felt like, for the most part, the crowd seemed like on my side of things, like they were into it. I felt like y'all did your part. No, I think in juxtaposition to like what we've been watching, it's pretty interesting how far away this is from old school wrestling. Just like, the pacing is kind of all over the place, but like it works most of the time. I feel like the only match that reminded me of anything that we've watched so far was the last one, and it was everyone was so quiet and tired that like nobody was even really getting into it until all the surprises and the run-ins and the interference.
Yeah. I think when you have people here for like Ring of Honor and all the preliminary shows, and you have so much blood, that when you finally get to like a couple like old legends, Hall of Famers, it's like, what are you gonna do? Bleed again? It's like,
yeah,
you have Jon Moxley not even bleeding at this point,
right?
For the main event, and it's like, I'm not trying to knock AEW, because I think what they do really well is our pay-per-views, and I feel like I had a lot of fun, but I also had, I would say 50% of the show I was meandering. I went up to the nosebleeds. I was sitting ringside. I went up to the nosebleeds a lot just to see different perspectives and like hang out and like meet people. And I was like, all right, a lot of this stuff, like, you could have made it like a tight like 3 hours and it would have been sick. But the Storm Ricochet match was really awesome.
Yeah.
And the Mariah Toni Storm match was pretty cool. It was like capping off a 3-part series, and that was a lot of fun. But I don't know how many crimson masks we can take for one night, especially when you're like right up above it. You like smell the fucking iron in the blood.
Yeah, you were up there real close for sure. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun pay-per-view. I agree with you. AEW pay-per-views are pretty much always great. You at least know that you're going to get amazing matches, crazy stuff happening in the ring. I think what I noticed the most was at the end when it was over, like on the one hand, there was a result that I didn't want, right? I didn't want Moxley to win because I'm tired of the Death Rider stuff. But
and
also,
the audience didn't want either.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, the audience didn't want it either. I get that. I mean, I think it's just like the show ended, and I was like, okay, well, nothing happened that really makes me want to like tune in onto Dynamite on Wednesday. Whereas right now, leading up to WrestleMania, there's something on almost every show where I'm like, oh shit, I need to see what happens next week on this show because I'm interested in how this story will play out. And although the matches of AEW were great, I don't know what's going to happen with the storylines moving forward based on what I saw tonight.
Right. I think AEW doesn't really have big storylines that I've been following, although I watch them.
Yeah.
And
no, but they do. They're just like, they kind of feel like there's room for them to expand them, to flesh them
right.
out more. But they're there. I mean, like the Swerve Ricochet match had months of build up behind it, and there was story to that. They were
Right.
feuding for a very specific reason, and a lot of the matches had that kind of a build. But I think for me, it was just like, the one, like, I don't know if all of these matches were what we would call a blow off match, right? Where like
Right.
once this is over, the feud is over. I don't know if that's the case,
Right.
but it was kind of hard to tell. It kind of felt like they all were blow off matches.
Right. And I don't mean to knock the storylines of AEW. It's just like, in general, it's just like right now I'm not really following, although I watch everything all the time, I'm not really following a storyline in which I'm really like compelled to be like, I had to be there tonight. I was here because I know AEW like kills it with the live events, almost like the best indie wrestling you've ever imagined. Sorry, it's loud here. In your life, and they did deliver. I think as far as like indie matches generally are like, you show up, you see two good wrestlers, you don't know what the fuck's going on. If there's a story, you see it.
Yeah.
You see it from start to end right there in the ring. And I think that's what they do pretty well. And I think that's kind of what they did tonight. But I think when there's like, when you're doing all the dark matches and stuff, and there's like 12 fucking matches, and you're here from like 7, 8, 9 hours or whatever, it's like,
so it's an investment.
Even the other people who paid like a ton of money, they're like, they're like, there's like one guy's like from Japan next to me, and he's here to see just the Japanese wrestlers. He's fucking watching anime, literally, on his phone for entire matches. Just like watching anime in the front row, which I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we all paid the same, but like it's expensive to like just sit there and watch anime, and like it's like that. It was very quiet for certain parts. It was very loud for Kenny Omega. I think it wasn't the best match of the night, Omega versus Takeshita, but like wasn't really like the Kenny Omega that I've like come to know, and people were really like cheering hard for him. But I think it was more like just to see pioneering like legend of AEW. Like if AEW had a fucking Hall of Fame, Kenny Omega would probably be the first one in it. And I think this wasn't like Kenny Omega versus like Will Ospreay in Japan. It was just Kenny Omega showed up, and people were really excited just to see him. But I don't know, man. That fucking room when Mariah May and Toni Storm were going at it was like,
pretty hot.
What the fuck? It was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
There were some moments, but
was that the match of the night for you? You think?
For me, it was. I actually care.
Yeah.
I actually care about their story, so I was like pumped about it, and feel like it led up and lived up to the hype. But what was your favorite match of the night?
I think it probably was Toni Storm and Mariah May, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of them were really solid. Even though Kenny doesn't move the exact same way, doesn't do everything with as much ferocity since he's come back from his diverticulitis scare and surgery, I still think that match with Takeshita was pretty great. I liked the Ospreay match with Kyle Fletcher too. All the big matches that the crowd was super into, I was also into. I think probably match of the night for me was Toni Storm and Mariah May, also just because it was kind of crazy. I mean, it was super crazy. They did the fucking glass fists from Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Dude, I mean, I fucking go to all the indie shows and be like, it's garbage matches. It's like crazy indie like shit shows. But like, you talk about GCW or something like that. They only do the blood at the end. You know, and just like AEW tonight, they have the luchadors come out in the beginning. Tonight it was the pre-show. It was very cool, but it was like, it's like the indie style, right? You're like, you've seen it before. It's high spots, whatever. Tonight, you got the Toni Storm thing. It's like, what else do you need? Let's go home. And then you have a bunch of dudes come out and bleed a bunch more. But I will say, it was great to see MJF and Hangman Adam Page, and that was cool. And the heat of the pyrotechnics and everything in the venue was awesome. Okada, when he came out with the pyrotechnics and the lights surrounding him and the smoke and the money, I saw the money. The guy next to me had the money, the Okada bucks. It's got his fucking face on it.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, is it real? Is it real? And the guy next to me was like, from Japan. And he was like, no, it's Okada bucks. And I was like, is it Japanese? Bucks. Is it real? Does he just have his face on it? And he's like, he couldn't really like understand me. He's like, it's Okada bucks. Like, you know, like shaking his head, like, stop trying to get it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the MJF thing was cool. I mean, I don't know. He's a star, right? Like when he landed on his face, I texted you, and I was really concerned, and I don't know if it was, you know, if that's a work, if that's what you want it to look like, but the people next to me, we were like starting to get into it early in the night, and then Hangman throws MJF right on his fucking face, and a lot of us just stopped. We were like cheering and everything, and we're looking at each other like, fuck, dude, that doesn't look good, you know? And he's laying there, and his chest is going up and down. I guess I love that about wrestling. You never know if it's a work or not, but like, I definitely don't want to like get too excited if like, you know, MJF just fucking broke his fucking neck, and it seemed like he did, and now it seems like he's fine. So good on them. It seems like everyone's safe tonight, you know?
Well, that was the thing actually that is kind of worth bringing up is there were several moments. I mean, maybe it wasn't as obvious from your vantage point, but there was almost a moment in every match where there was like a scary, almost injury type thing, like MJF getting suplexed on his face. When Mercedes was wrestling, oh gosh, I can't remember her name. Momo, is that her name?
Momo, and
so Momo kicked Mercedes right in the face, like real good one time. I mean, Kenny, I think, took something scary, like landed on his head. Like there was just a lot of scary spots throughout the night, and that's something that I noticed is like when we watch old school pay-per-views and when I watch current WWE stuff, there's very, very few spots, moves, moments in matches where I am like terrified because the person might have actually hurt themselves. You know, it's very few and far between. And I don't think that's something that you want, obviously. It definitely like kind of took me out as well, and I could hear you guys in the audience like worried as we all are when something like that happens, you know?
Right, like when we see a death match or something that's very bloody, it's kind of cool to see someone like overcome something that's like crazy, that's planned. But when we see something that seems like maybe it's not planned, like nobody wants to see that. And we obviously, as much as we've suspended our disbelief, we don't believe that a human being can be dropped with 200 pounds or 150 pounds of body weight, you know, directly on their fucking neck. So as impressive as it is to me that everyone's okay tonight, it's kind of, it's not fun.
It's why you have to be safe.
Right. And it's not fun for me to like, if I ever think, you know, that someone's not safe, that's where the fun ends.
You know, like, basically what you're referring to is like, you know, in the match that we're talking about, for those who didn't watch this pay-per-view, we've got MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He's the bad guy facing Hangman Adam Page, who's the good guy. And Hangman does a suplex where he basically ends up smacking MJF face first onto the canvas, the ring, but the way that he landed, it was literally face first before the rest of his body. And it looked really scary. And, you know, and so with all that context, I agree with you. Like, I know I'm supposed to cheer I know I'm supposed to boo, you know, when MJF does something good, and I'm supposed to cheer when he gets attacked or gets a move done to him. But in that instance, even though I know I'm supposed to cheer, I don't want to because I'm worried that the human being is injured. You know what I mean? Like it's tough, right? You can't do that too much because then it takes your audience out of the moment.
Yeah. No, I'm good, brother. Thank you. And the other thing that was interesting to me, just sitting ringside, which I've done for AEW and WWE, and obviously, you know, we've had things in LA that I've been there for where like people are drinking each other's blood and shit. But like,
I was there too.
But we've both been there. And but the thing, the MJF like face thing was right in my face, and that's why. And I swear to God, like it was just scary. I guess we'll hear in the coming days if it was really anything at all or nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, it's scary.
Just want everyone to be okay, which I'm assuming they are. I mean, oh my God, the speaking about the MJF match, the MJF gave Hangman Page a pile driver onto a seated chair. That was crazy. Yeah. Holy crap.
Dude, there was so much crazy shit about this. Like, but yeah, the Toni Storm thing, it wasn't egregious, right? To me, it was the last match of their 3-part series, and there were attacks, and there was glass, and it was just like it was a statement, like an end to it all, you know. And
I mean, the screen literally said the end. Okay, so let's see if we could wrap this up for the people who don't know. So we've got 2 female wrestlers, Toni Storm and Mariah May. Toni Storm has been in AEW longer than Mariah May. When Mariah May came in, she formed a kinship with Toni Storm, kind of like a mentor-mentee role. But then eventually, Mariah May turned on Toni Storm and became the women's champion, and they have been jockeying for that championship back and forth for almost, I think, a year, right? Wasn't this whole thing like close to 12 months long?
Gotta be, man. Yeah, it's been a while.
So this was the 3rd and final match. No rules, no disqualifications. Pinfalls count anywhere in the arena, and there was a lot of blood. There was broken glass. There was, what else was there? My God. A shoe getting stabbed with a stiletto in the head over and over again. It was pretty crazy. Very, very cinematic as far as like the ending goes and the way they shot it. You didn't see it, but all these sweeping shots and the lights and everything.
I'd love to see it. Yeah, I will definitely watch. I guess at home. I hope it goes to HBO Max and I can see it in the future. I guess that's it. I guess we can wrap it up. I mean, I just wanted to call in, do a little bonus episode. Here, we'll be back soon with our normally scheduled program, and we'll do King of the Ring 1993, which is quite a contrast to what we saw tonight. But that's why we love wrestling. It's always keeping us guessing. It's always evolving.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yes.
Everybody's got something to watch.
Yeah, next week we'll do another old school thing because that's kind of our thing. And if there's anything current, we'll be sure to touch on it. And as always, you can find us at grapplecitypod.com or at grapplecity on Twitter, Instagram, X, whatever the kids are calling it these days. We're around 626-657-SLAM. If you want to call and let us know your highlights of AEW Revolution, we'll play it on the show and make sure we respond to your thoughts because we always want to hear what y'all are saying.
Yes. Overall, I thought it was a really fun pay-per-view. A little long in the tooth for me, a little over the top on the blood, but that's okay. I'll take what I can get. I enjoy wrestling pay-per-views, and we've certainly seen a lot crazier. So I think this will do it for our bonus episode. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time when we review King of the Ring 1993.